She was born with royal blood in her veins. A child who should have lived behind palace walls, dressed in silk, taught to rule, remembered by history. But none of that happened, because she was born a girl. In Tudor England, crowns did not need daughters. They needed sons. Proof of power. Proof of legitimacy. Proof that a king could shape the future with his own blood. Henry VIII understood that better than anyone. So when this child was born, he made a choice that would erase her from history for nearly 500 years. He did not deny her existence completely. That would have been dangerous. Instead, he buried the truth beneath silence, false names, and carefully constructed lies. Officially, she was nothing more than the illegitimate daughter of a royal servant. Unimportant. Forgettable. A mistake best left undocumented. But her life tells a different story. She was educated like nobility, protected like royalty, positioned close enough to the throne to touch it, yet never allowed to claim it. This is not the story of a forgotten woman. This is the story of a king's secret daughter, and the deliberate erasure that kept her hidden forever. On paper, her life was simple. She was listed as the bastard daughter of a royal servant. A child with no claim, no title, no future worth recording. That was the story the crown wanted the world to believe. But reality didn't match the record. She grew up surrounded by privilege that made no sense for someone of her supposed status. Her clothes were finely made. Her manners flawless. She was taught to read and write at a time when most women, especially illegitimate ones, were denied even basic education. She moved through noble households with ease, never questioned, never challenged. Doors opened for her that should have remained firmly closed. Yet there was always an invisible boundary she could not cross. She was allowed near the throne, but never onto it. Allowed comfort, but never recognition. Protected but never claimed. Her existence was a careful balancing act. Too much attention would invite dangerous questions. Too little would expose neglect that didn't align with the quiet protection surrounding her. So she lived in between worlds. Not a peasant. Not a princess. A ghost wrapped in royal favor. Every tutor, every gown, every carefully arranged step through court life whispered the same unspoken truth. Someone powerful was watching over her. Someone who could never say her name aloud. To understand why she had to be hidden, you have to understand the man who hid her. Henry VIII was not just a king. He was a ruler consumed by one fear above all others: failure to produce a male heir. In a world where dynasties collapsed over succession disputes, a son was not just a child. He was stability, power, survival. England had already torn itself apart once during the Wars of the Roses. Henry knew what happened when bloodlines were questioned. That fear shaped every decision he made. It drove him to abandon Catherine of Aragon. It pushed him to defy the Pope and break England from Rome. It haunted him through 6 marriages. And when Henry finally fathered an illegitimate son, he did something extraordinary. He acknowledged him. Henry Fitzroy was paraded openly, showered with titles, estates, and honors. Made a duke while still a child. His existence was a declaration. The problem was never me. But daughters served no such purpose. An illegitimate daughter could not secure the throne. She could only complicate it. Marriages could create rival claims. Alliances could shift. Rumors could grow dangerous. So Henry did what kings often do when truth threatens power. He hid it. If a king wanted a secret to stay buried, he couldn't entrust it to a noblewoman. Noble mistresses came with expectations. Marriage, titles, influence. They had families who asked questions. Names that appeared in records. That kind of attention was dangerous. So Henry would have looked elsewhere. To women, history was never meant to remember. Women from the lower ranks of the royal household. Women who worked in silence. Women whose lives were defined by labor, not legacy. A laundress was perfect. She washed the king's clothes. His sheets. The most intimate evidence of his private life. She moved in and out of his chambers unnoticed, invisible by design. Guards stepped aside for her. Doors opened without suspicion. She saw everything and was seen by no one. When such a woman became pregnant, the palace could not allow questions to spread. There could be no scandal. No rumors whispered through noble halls. A solution had to be found quickly. The mother would disappear into obscurity. Her name reduced to a footnote if recorded at all. Her role minimized. Her story stripped of meaning. She would give birth to a royal child, and receive nothing in return but silence. Because in Tudor England, a woman like her did not matter. Only the secret she carried did. A secret like this couldn't survive on silence alone. Silence needed protection. And protection required money. So the king created a cover story, one strong enough to withstand scrutiny, but quiet enough not to invite curiosity. A man would be chosen to stand in as the father. Someone loyal. Someone dependent on royal favor. Someone who understood that survival depended on obedience. He was a royal servant. Trusted. Useful. Discreet. The arrangement was never written down. It didn't need to be. The terms were understood without words. He would claim the child as his own. He would raise her under his name. He would never ask questions. In return, the king would reward him beyond reason. Lands. Estates. Income that transformed a working man into a member of the gentry almost overnight. Wealth that no tailor, clerk, or servant could ever earn honestly. To the outside world it looked like generosity. To historians it looks like payment. Kings did not give away abbeys and lordships for loyalty alone. They did it to control narratives. To bury truths. To ensure that certain stories were never told. The child would live well. The stand-in father would prosper. And the truth would remain safely locked behind privilege. From the moment she could walk and speak, it was clear her life would not follow the rules written for girls like her. She was taught as if she mattered. She learned to read and write fluently. She was instructed in music, manners, and the subtle art of court behavior, skills reserved for daughters of nobility, not for the illegitimate child of a servant. Her clothing spoke volumes. Fine fabrics. Careful tailoring. Nothing excessive, nothing obvious, but unmistakably expensive. The kind of garments chosen to blend in among nobles without drawing attention. Every detail of her upbringing was deliberate. She was being prepared for a world she could never fully enter. Publicly, she carried the stain of illegitimacy. Official records reduced her to a bastard, an inconvenience with no lineage worth preserving. Privately, she was guarded, educated, and positioned as if her blood mattered. And that contradiction shaped her entire existence. She belonged everywhere and nowhere at once. She could sit among nobles, yet never stand above them. She could live comfortably, yet never openly prosper. Her life was designed to be quiet, controlled, and useful, but never celebrated. She was a royal daughter trained to disappear. A princess in everything but name. Even when kings tried to bury the truth, paper has a stubborn way of surviving. Her story lived quietly in grants, land deeds, and financial records, fragments carefully placed by those who knew too much to remain silent. Every estate awarded, every tithe assigned, whispered the secret the crown could not admit. This child was worth more than a tailor's daughter should ever be. John Malty, her stand-in father, received wealth beyond imagination. Lands in Berkshire. Manor rights in Somerset. Abbey estates once held by powerful religious houses. These weren't gifts, they were statements. Statements meant to protect her, ensure her comfort, and safeguard the secret her father and the king shared. Over the years, the evidence accumulated. Letters, wills, and family accounts reinforced what the grants hinted at. Each document carefully preserved the invisible truth: she existed. She mattered. And despite the crown's efforts, history could not fully erase her. Kings could rewrite chronicles, but they could not destroy ledgers. Not completely. The paper trail didn't just record property, it recorded survival, legacy, identity. Through these records, the hidden daughter of Henry VIII left a mark on history, invisible to most, but indelible to those who looked closely enough. When it came time to marry, she did not choose her husband. Kings do not leave such decisions to chance, especially not when secrets hang in the balance. Henry VIII ensured that the man she married would be loyal, discreet, and utterly trustworthy. John Harington was more than a husband. He was a guardian of a truth the crown could not acknowledge. His loyalty to the king ensured her protection. His discretion guaranteed silence. The marriage was not love. It was strategy. A quiet arrangement designed to safeguard a child the world was never meant to see. And yet, it elevated her position. Through Harington, she gained a secure home, wealth, and influence, without ever being publicly recognized as what she truly was, the daughter of a king. This carefully orchestrated union was a masterclass in royal control. Power flowed silently, wealth shielded the secret, and the girl who should have been erased from history now had a quiet throne of her own, built from trust, loyalty, and cunning discretion. Her life had become a delicate performance, visible enough to prosper, invisible enough to survive. And every move, every alliance, every step was controlled by the man who had hidden her from the world. Even in the shadows, she was never alone. When her half-sister Elizabeth faced imprisonment in the Tower of London, she was among the 6 women chosen to accompany her. This was no ordinary assignment. Only those whose loyalty was unquestionable, whose discretion beyond reproach, were allowed into the cold, stone walls where fear and suspicion thrived. Inside the tower they shared more than space. They shared grief, terror, and whispered hope. Elizabeth, a future queen, confronted the threat of execution. And this hidden daughter, trained to survive in secrecy, became a source of solace, a silent protector. For weeks they clung to one another. The girl raised as a bastard by a loyal servant, and the heir to the throne, facing the weight of England's future. No words in official records confirm their conversations, yet the bond speaks louder than any document. Trust and understanding ran deeper than titles, beyond acknowledgement, deeper than history itself could admit. She was not merely a lady in waiting. She was a sister in all but name. And in that darkness she proved her worth, not through power, not through wealth, but through loyalty and courage, living proof that some truths can never be erased. Even kings cannot fully erase truth. When her father, John Malty, died, he left a will that cracked open the carefully constructed story. In it, he named her by multiple names, Audrey, Esther, Ethelreda, but most importantly he identified her as his bastard daughter and acknowledged her mother. It was a subtle but undeniable signal. This child carried a secret the crown had tried to bury. She was more than a tailor's daughter. She was a daughter of the king. Later, her stepson, Sir John Harrington, would write in Newgate Antiquity that she was the king's natural daughter, not the servant's child. And decades later, family letters and recollections reinforced what the grants and the careful marriage arrangements hinted at. Henry VIII himself had orchestrated her life. The evidence is never a single smoking gun. It comes in pieces, wills, letters, testimonies, grants, all pointing in one direction. The story hidden for centuries emerges slowly, but unmistakably. History may have tried to erase her, but her fathers will refuse to be silent. It carried her legacy forward, proving that even in a world obsessed with male heirs and political convenience, the truth has a way of surviving, waiting for the world to finally notice. Her work was done. When Elizabeth ascended the throne on January 15, 1559, she was crowned queen, standing at the center of history. And there, among the ladies of honor, stood the girl who had lived in shadows her entire life, the daughter of a king, hidden for decades, now silently witnessing the fulfillment of a destiny she had protected but never claimed. Weeks later she passed away quietly. No grand tomb. No ceremonial eulogies. Just a life concluded as silently as it had been orchestrated. She left behind one daughter, Hester, who appears in records for a brief period before vanishing completely. A second ghost in Tudor history, like her mother, destined to be forgotten. The irony is almost cruel. She spent her life preparing for a world she could never fully enter, protecting the throne, the queen, and a secret that could have destroyed reputations if exposed. And once her role was complete, she disappeared, her life written in shadows, her existence barely acknowledged even by history itself. She was a presence without recognition, a figure whose influence shaped the crown from behind the scenes, leaving only whispers and faint traces for future generations to discover. History remembers kings, queens, and battles. It rarely remembers the shadows that shaped them. She was one of those shadows. The daughter Henry VIII never publicly acknowledged. A child of royal blood, raised to protect the throne, taught to survive in secrecy. She moved through Tudor England like a ghost, present yet invisible, influential yet unrecorded. Her life challenges everything we think we know about legitimacy and inheritance. She held estates, received an education, married strategically, all privileges no illegitimate daughter should have had. Yet she remained publicly erased. Historians now piece together the fragments, wills, letters, grants, family recollections, to uncover the truth. They reveal a girl who mattered, who shaped events, who stood beside queens and navigated courts with grace and intelligence. Her story reminds us that power is not always visible, that influence does not always wear a crown. Some legacies are hidden, whispered only in the margins of official records, waiting centuries to be noticed. The daughter Henry VIII tried to erase forever was never truly gone. Her existence endured through careful planning, loyalty, and courage. And now, for the first time in half a millennium, the world can finally see her. For centuries she lived in the margins of history. A daughter denied a name, denied a throne, denied recognition. Yet she endured. She moved quietly through royal courts, protected queens, and safeguarded secrets that could have altered the fate of England. Her life challenges everything we think we know about power, legitimacy, and the stories history chooses to tell. Kings erased her from public records, but they could not erase her existence. They could not erase her influence. They could not erase the evidence left behind in wills, grants, and letters. Today, for the first time, her story emerges from the shadows. The daughter Henry VIII tried to hide forever is no longer forgotten. She was real. She mattered. She stood beside queens. She lived, and history can finally acknowledge her. If this story of hidden power, secret lineage, and erased legacies moved you, share it. Preserve it. Let the world remember the daughters kings tried to erase. Because history is not only about those who ruled, it is also about those who survived, those who influenced from the shadows, and those whose lives demand to be seen.